Annex extracts of the media reports by the Star newspaper dated 7th November and by African News marked as Annexure RG6. My understanding is that the road to Kuritu Marine Conservancy was upgraded in respect of this visit, which also to benefit the local community, including amenities like Cheriani Secondary School, Cheriani Primary School, a mosque and a public market as part of the corporate social responsibility. I wish to point out that the alleged road, that is Takaungu, Shariani, Vipingo, of undermining the president and the cabinet by allegedly making contradictory public statements from the position taken by cabinet regarding the evacuation of the people residing along the Nairobi River. My response, Mr. Speaker, is that Article 147 of the Constitution provides that the Deputy President shall be the principal assistant of the President and shall deputize the President in execution of the President's function. Article 28 states that every person has inherent dignity and the right to have the dignity respected and protected. Article 29C, Mr. Speaker, states that every person has the right to freedom and security of the person, which includes the right not to be subjected to any form of violence or private sources. Section 15G1 of that Act states that notwithstanding any provision, the contrary in this Act or in any other written law, all eviction shall be carried out in a strict accordance with the following procedure. Be preceded by proper identification, is taking part in eviction or demolition. B, be preceded by the presentation of formal authorizations for action. C, where groups of people are involved, government officials or their representatives be present during an eviction. D, be carried out in a manner that respects the dignity, right to life and security of those affected. E, includes special measures to ensure effective protection to groups of people who are vulnerable, such as women, children, the elderly, and persons with disabilities, including special measures to ensure that there is no arbitrary deprivation of property or possessions as a result of the eviction. This includes mechanisms to protect property and possessions left behind involuntarily from destruction, to respect the principles of necessity and proportionality during the use of force, and give the affected persons the first priority to demolish and salvage their property. Critically, our Constitution provides at 147(2) that first the Deputy President shall perform the functions conferred by this Constitution and any other functions assigned by the President. Pursuant to Article 3 of the Constitution, I, as well as every other citizen of Kenya, and state or public officers have an obligation to respect, uphold, and defend this Constitution in performing any of my functions. This, the national values and principles of governance contained in Article 10 of the Constitution by those state organs, public officers, and all persons, including myself as Deputy President, wherever we make or implement public policy decisions. In addition to this matter, Mr. Speaker, these national values and procedures include the rule of law, democracy and participation of the people, human dignity, equity, social justice, inclusiveness, equality, human rights, non-discrimination, and protection of the marginal. Adherence to these principles become extremely important when we as state officers are contemplating legal evacuation of citizens with a duty to avoid inhuman forced eviction that would be contrary to our Constitution and international law. While campaigning with President William Ruto, and subsequently when I was sworn in as Deputy President, the President and I promised as a key pillar of the Kenya Kwanza government that there will be no forced or unlawful evictions, and that all evictions will be human and entail legal compensation. Mr. Speaker, also the Deputy President has undertaken extensive engagement with all parties in regard to cabinet decisions on eviction, which I fully support, including the Nairobi River, which is an entity under the office of the Deputy President and the county government of Nairobi. Adherence to these principles become extremely important when we, as state officers, are contemplating legal evacuation of citizens with a duty to avoid inhuman forced evictions that will be contrary to our Constitution and international law. Guideline number 6 of the United Nations General Assembly guideline for the implementation of the rights to adequate housing prohibits forced evictions, and that the state should ensure that any eviction under domestic law are fully compliant with international law. Guidelines further require meaningful engagement with communities to ensure that the rights of residents are implemented cooperatively without the need for eviction procedures or police enforcement. Mr. Speaker, I have supported the implementation of cabinet directives on the eviction, save for the fact that on being informed that the persons residing along Nairobi River would be evicted and paid 10,000 shillings only, which I and many other Kenyans felt was inadequate compensation for eviction. I insisted that the government should abide by the constitutional dictates and international norms while implementing any cabinet decisions, including eviction, and maintain the dignity of the citizens of Kenyans facing eviction. My statements did not and cannot be construed to undermine the president by insisting that people should not be evicted inhumanly and without adequate compensation. Mr. Speaker, I've been accused of undermining devolution by allegedly holding a meeting in Nairobi Wakulima Market. The motion alleges that on 28 September 2024, I unlawfully interfered with the running of the Nairobi City County government by holding a public rally where I allegedly incited citizens against lawful directives for the county government on planning and location of markets. My response, Mr. Speaker, is that the motion alleges that on 20 September 2024, I unlawfully interfered with the running of the Nairobi City County government by allegedly inciting citizens against lawful directive. Article 6.2 of the Constitution provides that the government at national and county levels are distinct and interdependent and shall conduct their mutual relations on the basis of consultation and cooperation. This being the case, it cannot be said that there is a violation of the Constitution when someone from the national government makes a comment on matters relating to county government. The traders had sought me out to intervene and request the governor on their behalf to dialogue with them and seek a solution to the grievances with regard to the location of market. I request that a video annexed RG Video 3 be played for the benefit of members to say what I say. Please play the video for us. Siku mtahangaika. Hapo ndipo mimi nafikiria sana. Nikisikia serikali ya kaunti inajaza nyinyi. Hiyo hapo kwa. Nikamwambia mpatie gavana nafasi. Gavana wetu Sakaja tukakubaliana ya kwamba akiwa gavana wa Nairobi, Rais William Ruto akiweko, mdogo wake, wafanyabiashara wetu watapata nafasi ya kufanya kazi yao. Na mimi nataka kuomba kwa heshima, wale wote ambao tumepatiwa nafasi ya uongozi na Wakenya, tukumbuke ya kwamba tulipata nafasi ya kuongoza kupitia kwa kura ya wananchi. Na tukumbuke ya kwamba wakubwa wetu, wadosi wetu ni Wakenya. Na hakuna siku tunaweza geuka Wakenya. Sababu ndio walitupatia nafasi ya uongozi. Sijui kuandika kazi. Kwa hivyo mimi niseme, ya kwamba niliuliza gavana uketi chini, tuwe na mazungumzo, tuwe na maelewano. Watu ni wananchi, na wananchi ni watu wa kusikizwa. Niko hapa kuhakikishia ya kwamba nimemuuliza gavana kwa heshima, na mimi sina kiburi. Mimi namuomba akiwa kiongozi wetu hapa Nairobi, asikuwe mtu ya kugeuka watu wa nchi. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My council has just drawn my attention that in my earlier explanation for the river, I have a video 1 and 2 that I would like you to play so that I address my point, what I meant. This is video 1 and 2. For Kenya to work hard. We don't have a choice. Once we try to fix this economy and create a good working environment where we don't criminalize enterprise, where ordinary Kenyans are allowed to work, where businessmen are not harassed by KRA, where goods belonging to the people of Kenya will never again be touched by overzealous public servants. Where again poor people will never again be evicted in brutal evictions by state agencies. And I say, freedom is here.
Now, the number of fatalities from the ongoing forcible eviction by the government has risen to 3, with another tragic loss in Mathare on Monday. An 18-year-old boy died as a bulldozer brought down a church in the area just moments after President William Ruto left. The young man who was assisting in salvaging the church's belongings became a casualty of the demolition. Earlier on Saturday, 2 individuals lost their lives in Mukuru kwa Ruben during a similar eviction exercise. Ben Kirui reports.
Monday evening, the ongoing forcible evictions in flood-prone areas tragically ended yet another life. The 18-year-old Ian Otieno lost his life in Mathare moments after President William Ruto left the area where he had been assessing the effects of floods. Bulldozers descended on homes near riverbanks, flattening structures marked for demolition. Winnie Makinda, Ian's mother, struggled to comprehend the loss of her son, a candidate in this year's KCSE.
Wakaambia mtu atingatinga usiangushe hiyo ukuta. Kuna hapo ndani kuna watoto wa watu. Wacha kuangusha hapo ndani kuna watoto wa watu. Akaambia wamama waache kumpigia kelele.
Reports indicate that Ian Otieno was trying to salvage church properties when the bulldozer brought down the wall, leading to his sudden demise.
Wote kwa tingatinga nilitoa nianza kubomoa hata mara ya kwanza huko mbele, ngoto na kali kama hata watu kimwambia ngojea watu vitu taki kusikia.
Nilichimba hivi, mtoto wangu alikuwa anataka kutoroka sawa. Unasikia alishika mtoto wangu na hiyo kitu hapa. Mtoto wangu akienda hivi. Mtoto wangu ana hivi.
His death led to demonstrations by residents, prompting police intervention. The law enforcers lobbed tear gas canisters to disperse rioting residents.
Watu wakachukua mwili tena tuonyeshe maaskari yenyewe wametulia mtoto. Maaskari kutuona kwa gate wakaanza kutoa gani, wakaanza kulikuwa shoot.
Residents insist that they will comply with government orders to vacate houses along riparian lands only if provided with alternative housing solutions. Saturday's demolitions in Mukuru kwa Ruben claimed 2 lives and injured 3 others, sparking outrage among residents who blamed the government for forcible evictions despite many not yet being relocated. Last week, the government mandated the evacuation of all residents from risky areas within 48 hours, including those near dams, those in areas prone to mudslides, and Kenyans residing on riparian lands. Ben Kirui, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Hakuna tena mambo ya evictions katika Nairobi. Kama kutakuwa na maneno, ni maneno ya relocation ambayo itakuwa ni kwa utaratibu, bila ya mwananchi kuvunjiwa nyumba. Huwezi kutoka nyumbani alafu unarudi jioni unakuta masufuria barabarani na blanketi sijui imekaa wapi. That one will not happen again. We want to make sure that we are an orderly, humane society that respects the right of everybody, irrespective of who they are or irrespective of their financial status. We are all equal before the Constitution. Tumekubaliana watu wa Nairobi? Vijana tumekubaliana?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That was President William Ruto talking the same language as his deputy, that brutal and forcible evictions have no place under this administration. We have seen a video of brutal eviction. We have seen young children crying in tears. Deputy President is being accused of undermining his boss by just doing what his boss said. We should never possibly brutally beat people of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, the leadership of Nairobi business traders approached me sometime in March or other official residents to discuss multiple issues affecting business and requested engagement in the solution and intervention. Consequent to this meeting, I directed that short, medium, and long-term strategies be undertaken, coordinated by the Office of the Deputy President, to address the issues raised that cut across various agencies, including KRA, Kenya Post Authority, Anti-Counterfeit Authority, Kenya Bureau of Standards, National Police Service, and the Kenya Corporate Board. On 11th April 2024, the Small Traders and Government Agencies Technical Committee, coordinated by my office, held a meeting to discuss issues raised by the small traders, including Muthurwa Market, attended by the Office of the Deputy President's staff, in a supportive role in keeping with the draft framework of cooperation and engagement between the government, the Nairobi City County Government, and Nairobi business traders. Subsequent this, Mr. Speaker, is clear that my office has been having meetings with the Governor of Nairobi on various matters affecting the people of Nairobi, and hence, the Deputy President cannot be accused of undermining devolution. Mr. Speaker, I've been accused of undermining devolution by allegedly holding meetings to fight alcohol. I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker, if the House took it that I say the House is a theater of the absurd. I was talking about this specific charge of undermining devolution by holding meetings to fight alcohol to be discussed in this House. That to me is what I thought that moment. It's 5 minutes or 10 minutes, that would be the theater of the absurd. I did not attribute in any way by trying to demean this House that I sat for 5 years, by calling it the theater of the absurd. But this particular charge, Mr. Speaker, drug and alcohol problem in Kenya has been on the increase, and many of our youth have become addicted to alcohol and their lives destroyed because it causes them to drop out of school and start engaging in petty crime, look for money to buy alcohol. I'm a strong advocate for youth rehabilitation from alcohol and substance abuse, which I continue to encourage and support in order to save our future. With regard to alcohol control and regulation, I wish to state that I have held several meetings with governors in Meru, Chuka, in Mombasa, in Nakuru, in Nyeri, and the efforts that President William Ruto asked me to lead in eradication of illicit brew has been very successful, and we have been working with governors and county assemblies who have been developing legislation on the control of licensing of alcoholic drinks. If there is one program that has had the best working relationship between county governments and the national government, it is this particular. I'm a bit emotive about illicit alcohol because I lost my brothers. One was a medical doctor, alcohol, another farmer. I take it personally. I don't know who complained about this particular charge. I have not seen the evidence of any complaint, and I have not had any person in Kenya complaining that the Deputy President is undermining by with the demolition by leading the war, illicit rules, drug abuse. Whatever this House decides tonight, and subsequent House, whatever happens to regarding Gachagua, whether it's this war must continue, must be won. I want us to watch video number 4G4. Leaders who were elected, Madam Waiguru, Governor Kahila, Federation, Kaweta, Mama Tangi. What shall we tell our people? Where are we? What shall we tell the people who elected us? When we meet them, what shall we tell them? When our children go to White Town to buy alcohol and drugs, where are we? We have nothing to say. Even though, Kimani Chuma, Yadeni, Mutami, how to need it. Mutami, how to need it. So please, this forum here, today, let us be open and candid. Speak from your heart. Let us know what ails us. What is it must we do? We have the support of the president and he's waiting. He has told me by 7 p.m. today, he must report. He cannot accept this situation. He cannot. Neither can I. And none of you should accept this situation. It is not right. It is not fair. It is not acceptable. We must deal with it as leaders. And we are here, we are all leaders. As an OCS, you are a leader. That's why you have been given that responsibility. As an ACC, you are a leader. County Commissioner, when it goes. DCIO, when it goes. Sisi ni viongozi. Na juu ya hayo sisi ni wazazi. Tafadhalini, tukubaliane, tutafute suluhisho. Na tukipata, tuende tufanye kazi. It is possible. It is doable. It is something that we can do. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's very clear that the meeting had all governors, members of parliament who are present here today, policemen, everybody, and we are in agreement that the war must be won. It cannot, but the deputy president should be impeached for leading the war narco. Sensational statements against the National Intelligence Service, its Director General, and OSCE. Mr. Speaker, during the assumption of office, I took an oath of allegiance the following terms. Oath or solemn affirmation of allegiance to the President, Deputy President. In full realization of the high calling, I assume as Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, I do swear solemnly affirm that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Republic of Kenya, that I will obey, preserve, protect, and defend this Constitution of Kenya, as by law established, and all other laws of the Republic, that I will protect and uphold the sovereignty, integrity, and the dignity of the Kenyan people. So help me God. That is the oath that I took in Gachagua. Article 239, Article 3 of the Constitution provides that in performing their functions and exercising their powers, the national security organs and every member of the national security organ shall not act in a partisan manner, further any interest of a political party or cause, or prejudice political interest or political cause that is legitimate under this Constitution. Article 239, sub-article 5 of the Constitution provides national security organs are subordinate to civilian authority. In addition to this allegation, wish to state that the National Intelligence Service holds a very critical role in ensuring the safety and security of our country. They are responsible for gathering intelligence and share it with all our law enforcement agencies to ensure that the country is safe at all times. Consequently, when the country was caught flat-footed with regard to the scope and extent of the public's satisfaction, Finance Bill 2024, which degenerated in a Gen Z protest, it pointed to the failure of the National Intelligence Service in carrying out its mandate. I am persuaded that the National Intelligence Service ought to have known beforehand public was completely opposed to the finance bill and they ought to have briefed the president before the protest began, and this would have caused a change of tact by government regarding the proposed bill, and the protest which culminated in the loss of innocent lives and destruction of property would have been avoided. Hence, I expressed my opinion on this in my public media briefing in Mombasa, and my utterances were not any different from what happens in other countries when there is a lapse or failure by the intelligence agencies. The nation has witnessed unfortunate instances of several extrajudicial killings, abductions, and disappearances. I firmly believe that if the National Intelligence Service had acted diligently, these instances would not have been witnessed. Under the Constitution, the government agencies are supposed to be accountable to the Kenyan people, including the National Intelligence Service, and calling them out when in a dereliction of duty does not amount to undermining them. I am also aware that the Kenya Kwanza government has been at the forefront in calling out officers who do not seem to understand their work. Recently, my boss, the president, publicly complained that there are some PSs and CSs who do not seem to understand their role. Please play for me video 5, RG5.
On President William Ruto has today described some members of his cabinet as utterly clueless and uninformed about the dockets they occupy. And in a sign of trouble for cabinet secretaries, the State House gates were shut for those who arrived late, with both President Ruto and his deputy Gachagua giving a sharp tongue lashing to the latecomers. And as Citizen TV's Timotai Goen reports, the atmosphere at the State House Nairobi left little doubt on President Ruto's disappointment with a vast section of his 22-member cabinet.
A cold morning in Nairobi, but the seats on the State House grounds came ultra-heated, particularly for cabinet secretaries. The cabinet members came here to sign performance contracts, but the oral appraisal of the day spurred anything between trouble and outright doom.
If you cannot keep time with your employer, you have basically dismissed yourself. I mean, it's just as simple as that. So, for those who came late, who are members of the executive, I will be expecting a written explanation, and it should not include matters of traffic.
Punctuality was at issue, with some cabinet secretaries being locked out of State House for lateness. And from the podium, the president and his senior lieutenants were unforgiving.
Nikaona rais unaniona nimjua. Nikaona uso yake nikajua hapa kinaumana. Sababu leo ni siku ya performance contract. Ile siku muhimu sana ya kuja kuweka. Na wewe umefika pale rais anakaa. Tayari amekaa na ni rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya. Wewe umechelewa ukiwa kuona nani? Who else are you going to see?
One of the things we need to learn in our performance contract is to beat the traffic.
For the 19 cabinet secretaries present, the atmosphere at State House progressed from bad to worse as President Ruto and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua issued a blistering assessment of the performance of the cabinet members.
Many of you, the people I speak to, don't even know what is going on in your ministries or departments. You have very scanty information. The moment I know more than you in your ministry, then you must begin to understand that something is very wrong. How do you run a ministry or a department or a parastatal if you have no information? That is the highest level of incompetence.
Those of us who came with the president from the political space and who are his friends, and we assisted him to become president. Once he gives us a job, that is the termination of that friendship. The friendship with the president will be based on nothing but performance.
From travel habits to basic work ethic and even media appearances, it was a brutal ground zero appraisal for the cabinet.
Why do you have to honor every invitation that you have been given to every country? Your Excellency, at times we have tried to hold cabinet committees, we can't. 5
6, 7, 8 ministers out of the country. Some change clothes at the airport from one country to another. That is the truth. Why can't you regulate yourself? If the president was to travel and on every invitation, he would go to this country the whole year. You just have to decide what is useful and other things you can leave to our passengers out of the country. So when you hear my deputy saying, find time, travel, but travel and see the people who have hired us, you know, go to different parts of Kenya so that you can get feedback from the public. We have done so much as an administration, and the information is not out there. Our ministers are quiet. They are called for TV interviews, they don't show up to say what they have done. And then the media have a few days because nobody talks for government. I would rather we spend more time explaining to the people of Kenya what we have done in our respective dockets as opposed to travel. And if we have to travel, let's travel out the country to where our Nigeria are and explain what we are doing. And I remember I called CS Chelugui. I didn't find him, so I called his PS. And I found her. And I explained to her, I told her, look, the public is not understanding this. Did I call you or not? On Sunday. You know, I told you this is what the public is saying. Please do more sensitization on Hustler Fund Phase 2.
With a very public expression of disappointment in his cabinet, President Ruto has triggered speculation on changes in government as his administration approaches the end of its first year in office. From punctuality to work ethic and general performance, the proverbial axe could well fall somewhere. With the performance contracts expected to foster a culture of high performance in the public service and also ensure that public resources are properly utilized, it is also set to offer a framework for President William Ruto to reward performance and also institute sanctions on non-performers. Shamutai Going, Citizen TV.
Mr. Speaker, President William Ruto, my boss, and I have been calling out senior government officials when they fall short of expectation. Director General of the National Intelligence Service is no exception, not above the law. He is accountable to the people of Kenya for his performance. And I have had an argument that we should not call out those in the security sector. I would like you to play the next video.
Where the most incompetent Inspector General of Police, I think, in the world, the most incompetent in the whole world. His incompetence may not necessarily play out when things are working, but when things get to a head and you need some decisions to be made, I can tell you for sure, the gentleman we have and Atanaji cannot make any decision. Nataka tumwambie ule mtu wa sinema mingi anaitwa nani ule mtu? Ule sijui anaitwa DCI ule anaitwa nini? Ule mtu anaitwa Kinoti. Awache ujinga. Huyo bwana Kiboti awache ujinga. Sio kama tunaelewana. Huyo Kinoti hakuna kitu amefanya kwa hii Kenya ya kisiasa. Yeye ni mtu ya sinema. Anaendesha makesi kwa magazeti. Anatuandikia barua, sijui barua ya kilomita ngapi. Mr. Kinoti, please, save your time. Stop writing to us long letters. Leave matters of elections to IEBC. You have no business in IEBC. You have failed as DCI. We don't want you to fail our elections. Tunaelewana? Huyo bwana Kinoti awache hiyo ujinga yake anaendesha pale. Kwa sababu alitukasirisha. Huyo bwana Kinoti, tunataka tumwambie awachane na watu wa IEBC wafanye hiyo uchaguzi. Alipatiwa kazi ya kufanya criminal investigation. He has never done anything. Ile kesi yote anafanya kesi kwa magazeti. Akiambiwa apeleke evidence kule kotini ameshindwa. So Bwana Kinoti, wacha sinema. You have failed and wait for others so that you can.
Honorable members, that was President William Ruto as Deputy President criticizing IG Mutiabai, ECI Kinoti. Regarding Gachagua has learned his job from his boss, that public officers must be called to order when they fell short of expectation. And I never saw anybody bring William Ruto here for impeachment for criticizing the IG or the DCI. This is a very unfair allegation. Mr. Speaker, it is also reported by media that the IMF has already warned about impending unrest during the people's dissatisfaction with the 2023 and 24 finance bill. Many of you will recall, Mr. Speaker, after the September 11th terrorist attack in the U.S. intelligence agencies were massively criticized, and an inquiry was even opened to investigate why their intelligence agency was not able to detect and thwart the attack. All we are saying is that our National Intelligence Service is accountable to the people of Kenya for its performance. Mr. Speaker, conniving with cartels in the tea sector to block ATDA from implementing guaranteed minimum return, Mr. Speaker, I am here to see a shred of evidence to that effect, and I have nothing to say. I have seen an allegation that we have not been able to do coffee reforms, Mr. Speaker, out of my work, coordinating coffee reforms. The Cooperative Bill 2023 and the Coffee Bill 2023 is before this House. I request this House, after these impeachment proceedings, to embark on those two bills so that the coffee farmers can realize the full benefit of the coffee reforms that we have initiated. There is another allegation that I have taken control of a local cooperative society in Madera constituency. I don't know the name of that constituency or that cooperative. It is false. I am here to see any evidence. I have nothing to say because there is nothing to be said. On the issue of shareholding, which I think members are interested in listening to, I listened to you this morning, and it was quite emotive. By virtue of provisions of the third schedule of the Political Parties Act, the constituent parties of the Kenya Kwanza Coalition entered into various agreements, which were deposited with the Speaker of the National Assembly and the Speaker of the Senate for purposes of Article 108 of the Constitution of Kenya. The following were members: UDA, ANC, Ford Kenya, PA, Farmers Party, Chama cha Kazi, Communist Party, Economic Freedom Party, Service Party, Tujibebe wa Kenya Party, Moja, Maendeleo Party of Kenya, and the Democratic Party of Kenya. In accordance with the provision of Clause 3, Schedule 3, a power sharing agreement and development agenda for the certain regions of Kenya, I attached copies of these agreements, RG 32. All those agreements talked about specific regions. The leaders were paid their signatures and vast issues of appointments to do with specific regions. Power sharing agreement between UDA and ANC for Kenya, for example, say that the UDA would nominate the coalition president, the presidential and deputy presidential candidates that was honored. The president would agree, would guarantee the stature, the dignity, and financial and operational autonomy of the office of the deputy president, which I've been insisting on because it's part of the coalition agreement. The ANC would be allocated the position of the prime cabinet secretary, which has happened. Port Kenya will be allocated the position of the Speaker of the National Assembly. That is why Honorable Masika Wetangula sits here today. In accordance with Article 2 of the Power Sharing Agreement, ANC at Fort Kenya would have a 30% share. Share is a what? Of the national government positions. This drives my utterances about shareholding. It is embedded in all these agreements that are attached here for you to read. I heard this morning an honorable member saying that the deputy president said the people of Ukambani will not get resources because they did not vote for Kenya Kwanza cabinet. That is not true. The Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya does not allocate resources. Resources for the development of the Republic of Kenya are appropriated by the National Assembly of Kenya, where I am today. The Deputy President will help the President to oversee the implementation of funds allocated and appropriated by the National Assembly. It is therefore not possible that the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya has the capacity to deny any part of Kenya resources because of the way they voted. The decisions on how resources will be allocated for the development of the Republic of Kenya are made here by the honorable members. If your area has no development, please don't impeach the Deputy President. Don't accuse him of not giving you resources. You are in this house to make sure that your area where you come from is allocated appropriate resources because that is your job. The agreements are attached, therefore I don't want to go into them. Let me see my speeches on the shareholder issue. Were informed by the said power sharing covenants, which are founded on law, having been deposited with the registrar of political parties, and lessons learned from the well-known disputed 202 NAC power sharing agreement. Further, sharing agreements are a feature of government formation in all democracies in the world that provide for formation. My pronouncements on the issue, properly understood, are not only anchored in law, but entirely harmless and incapable of being construed as a basis for ethnic animosity, a danger to national cohesion or a threat to national unity. On the contrary, coalition building has been one of the most important innovations since the disputed 2007 elections in ensuring stability, equitable sharing of political power, national cohesion, and fostering of national unity. Indeed, Kenya Kwanza main opponent in 2022 general election, Azimio la Umoja Coalition, One Kenya Coalition Party, was a political party consisting of 25 political parties who also executed a power-sharing agreement based on shares. I'm also aware that the Jubilee Coalition had executed a 50-50 power-sharing agreement between TNA Party and URP Party for 2013 general election. I have thus not violated Section 13(1)(a) and 62 of the National Cohesion Integration, nor has this commission summoned me to explain any of my comments and how it can affect cohesion. However, notwithstanding the said power share agreement, upon election as Deputy President, I went out of my way, as required by the Constitution of Kenya, to serve all Kenyans regardless of their political preferences during the election or ethnic origin. I now produce following video showing some of my speeches all over the country as marked RG Video 7. We want to confirm to the people of Nyanza that the Ruto administration will serve all Kenyans, those who elected us and those who did not. Kenya hii kila mtu afanyiwe kazi, kwa sababu kila mtu analipa kodi. Hili si kusema Kenya biashara. Nisema serikali, wale wanakusaidia kuishi, unatakiwa uweke wengi wale walielewa makosa yako. Mimi mnasema nilikuwa Mombasa, hiyo hamjui. Mimi nilikuwa Wajir, hiyo hamjui. Nilikuwa Garissa, hiyo hamjui. Nilikuwa Mauritania, Nandi nimekuja karibu mara 10. Eldoret nimekuja karibu mara 6. Kericho nimekuja mara 4. Tea conference ya chai tulikuwa na nyinyi mmoja Kericho. Kwa hiyo zetu zinaendelea, tutafanya kazi na viongozi wote, akiwa chama ile, akiwa chama hiki, we don't care. This is the time to serve the people of Kenya, and we shall work Mr. Speaker, copies of documents demonstrating my efforts within the mandate allocated me by the President to address security issues and economic realization programs and policy in historically marginalized areas is Annex RG33. The decision to embrace the broad-based government following the dissolution of cabinet after the Gen Z protest. I attached my video during the launch of the Honorable Raila Odinga's Quest for You chairmanship at State House, again as a demonstration of my embracing the broad-based government. Your Excellency, Dr. William Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya, and Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces, Your Excellencies, Heads of States and Government present, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors and High Commissioners and members of the Diplomatic Corps, Heads of Delegations, Members of Parliament, and all dignitaries present, good morning. Your Excellency, let me say this is a great moment for our country. What a day, what a moment. We are here, Your Excellency, as a country to unveil Kenya's finest to go and lead Africa. It's a proud moment for this country. And I want to say, Your Excellency, the people of Kenya have been united to a man by the candidature of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga to be the chairperson of the African Union Commission. This is a quest that has brought pride to our nation. And I would like to tell the leaders here from Africa and the representatives that as a country, as we present the Honorable Raila Odinga to be our candidate, it is because Africa, our motherland, deserves the best. The passion and zeal of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga in Pan-Africanism is well documented. Passion knows no age, knows no limit. In the person of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, he joined the ranks of Jomo Kenyatta and Kwame Nkrumah in pushing the agenda for Africa. And therefore, I want to say, Your Excellency, the lessons of today are that Raila Odinga, the Right Honorable, is a man of great resilience, endurance, and perseverance. Today, you are going to unveil the transformation of the Right Honorable Odinga from a national leader to an African statesman. And for our lives in leadership, we have learned great lessons of resilience, endurance, and perseverance. Somebody may ask, why is the young Gachagua who has before had issues with the leadership of Raila Odinga? As a truthful man, I have nothing against him. It's only that we are competing for the same position between him and my boss. Now that he's going for a bigger seat in Africa, all of us, from the president, I, and the rest of Kenya, are bending. And the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, as a man who listens to the ground, let me confirm to you, I've listened to the ground, and all Kenyans across the political divide, across communities, are in support of your candidature, and we wish you well. Before I call Your Excellency, let me acknowledge the place of family, not just in our lives, but in leadership.
I think it is a great moment for the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. It's appropriate that I acknowledge on behalf of the country the role Raila Odinga has played in the life of this great son of this land. Raila Odinga, we salute you as a country for having been a very strong pillar to your husband in very difficult times, and in his lowest moments, you have always been there for him. We ask families to support their spouses. So, Mama Ida Odinga, as we wish you happy birthday, it is my hope and prayer that your next birthday will be celebrated at Addis next year. And if you invite President William Ruto to come and he's not able to come, Mr. President, I'll be very happy for you to send me to represent you in that great birthday. We therefore want to say as a country, it's a great moment. And Right Honorable Odinga, I have noted with a lot of appreciation, my wife, Pastor Dorcas, who is a very prayerful woman, has been praying for me and the President daily. And I noted from yesterday she has added in her prayer. And because our prayers work, we have no doubt that you will get this seat. Mr. President, it is now my honor to request you to come and anchor Kenya's finest and embark on a journey of transformation of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga from a national leader to a great African statesman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. President William Ruto has many times appreciated my people issues and has repeatedly pronounced himself. When we have the video number 9.
And speaking of deputies, you have in the last few weeks named Mr. Gachagua as your deputy. There's been quite a debate, and I'm sure you know that, around running mates in this country. Perhaps this would be a great time to shed light on why you settled on this gentleman.
Gachagua is somebody I have known. Gachagua is a very passionate leader. Gachagua is a people's person. He speaks about the things that I speak about. He speaks about ordinary people. He's concerned about what has to do with farmers. He's concerned about the things that are dear to ordinary Kenyans. And the nexus between me and Gachagua is the people. He believes in bottom up the way I do. And that is why I chose Gachagua to work with me.
Thank you very much.
Deputies.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. In addition, and almost in conclusion, I am not the only leader at the national level who has encouraged unity among Kenyans based on shared regional, geographical, and economic and other factors. I have attached several articles. Where unity is not optional versus rectangular. Ruto puts case for Gelma College in unity. Mijikenda, unity in the offing. Masai leaders in unity talks ahead of next year's general election. I have attached those articles so that you understand that regions uniting does not mean they unite against other regions. They unite for common issues, common values, and to strengthen them to join other regions for national unity. Mr. Speaker, motion dated 26 September 2024, tabled before the National Assembly, makes the generalized claims that have committed crimes under national laws, Proceeds of Crime and Anti-Money Laundering Act, Penal Code, National Cohesion and Integration Act, as anti-corruption and economic crimes. It's on the basis of the claim that is saying that the threshold of impeachment has been met. I'm not aware of any active actions by any state agency, offenses under the state laws, neither have I been called upon to record any pertaining the names. Just like any other Kenyan, the Constitution accords me the presumption of innocence in relation to criminal offenses until the contrary is proved in a court of law on a specific standard of. Therefore, in the absence of any active investigations by any investigative agency in Kenya, I do not believe that there can be any serious reason to believe that I've committed any. Otherwise, that will be an indictment of the intelligence agencies as well as investigative. Therefore, it is inconceivable the threshold of the impeachment motion as defined in Article 145 of the Constitution can solely be based on the perception of the mover of the motion in the absence of any other evidence. I heard mover this morning saying that all we need to do is to believe in him. I believe that cannot be the position. We need actual evidence. The net effect of the impeachment of this basis of allegations of criminal offenses, evidence has not been tried and tested in court of law or by bodies mandated to investigate, would be to disqualify me from the possibility of holding public office in relation to Article 99.3 without the benefit of due process of law and exhaustion of the systems of appeal as provided in the penal code. Mr. Speaker, I do not wish to export the issues I had this morning that outside the motion. I want to confirm I have tremendous respect for Kenyan women, and I have never disrespected them. What has happened is that as politicians, there is always propaganda to undermine somebody. I call upon anybody with evidence that ever disrespected that person to come out and provide that evidence. I had my very great friend, the Honorable Faith Gitao, say that I disrespect women. Many times I've been to Nyandarua, I've referred to Honorable Faith Gitao as Gada. Gada is a Kikuyu name for a woman of great respect. That I have done countless times is on video. Finally, Honorable Bruce Sholei, I heard what you said, Doris. I heard this morning that you said I should be in prison. But my sister, me, I'm a grateful man. I remember, and I'll never forget. During the last administration, when I was arrested on fabricated charges, starting with President William Ruto against wish of the government at that time. That is, Bush Sholai came and sat with me at TI headquarters, brought me tea, brought me lunch, sat with me, comforted me. At court, she coordinated a collection of 12.5 billion shillings as my cash then. She came to see me in Gigiri for 4 days and had very kind words for me. Despite what you have said, my sister, I do remember that one good thing that you did for me. Love you and cherish you. Finally, Mr. Speaker, as I wind up, I want to appeal to this Honorable House to consider the allegations against me by the mover of the motion, weigh it against the attached evidence, weigh it against my defense and the attachments and the videos that are played in it. Exercise your mind and exercise your discretion. Search your conscience and decide if regarding Gachagua is any those allegations or is undergoing on. If you are sober and you search your conscience without any intimidation or coercion or inducement, and you think is the right thing, please go. If search your conscience listen to the issue that have been reduced. You find that there are no grounds which the Deputy President of the Government of Kenya is making. I'll ask you, many members who are in this House remember what President William Ruto has done. Most of us stood with Gachagua underwent 4 years of others of us. We took a firm stand. His family went and met him. He was a haunted man. Election day, he pronounced himself that freedom is again under the new administration. Save regarding Gachagua, who underwent humiliation by himself in the same space that administration. Try, look, reflect, and apply your conscience and make the right decision. Mr. Speaker of the House, thank you for granting me this opportunity. And my address last night was not in any way meant to disrespect the House. Despite, Mr. Speaker, you having ruled that the matter should not be taken out of the House, it was being discussed in every TV station, in every meeting across Kenya. And Kenyans did not have a chance to also hear this. So I decided, since accusations against me were everywhere in the country, people of Kenya, most of those who voted for me and President William Ruto, deserved also to hear my tremendous respect for the National Assembly and your ability and capacity. Mr. Speaker, thank you. Asante sana.
Thank you very much, David President. Thank you very much, David President. I'm sure your fears that you will not be heard fairly have been allayed. You've been heard in absolute silence. You've been heard with total decorum from the House. And members, I salute you for the display of your legislative maturity in giving an opportunity to a subject to a motion in the person of the Deputy President to be heard. What is it, Rosa? The proceedings are still going on. Who is praying? Yes, Senior Counsel. These proceedings are still going on.
Yes, indeed. Mr. Speaker, this is the House of Record, and I had wanted to rise under Standing Order 65, 67A, and 67B. Two of those points you've already covered, Mr. Speaker. It is important that the record reflect that although the standing orders do not require that we listen to the witness in silence, indeed we did. Secondly, that there was compliance with the Standing Order 67B2 in giving the witness a maximum of 2 hours. But there's a third one, Mr. Speaker, which I think should go on record. Standing Order 67A also requires that the witness be entitled to appear in person or with counsel. I see that the witness has appeared with at least 3 counsel, all of whose names should come on record, so that the record shows that counsel were actually allowed to the chamber. I see my friend Advocate Ongoya, my friend Advocate Njiru, so that there is no incompleteness of the record. I beg, Mr. Speaker.
That is a fair comment. Counsel for the Deputy President, without making any unhelpful speeches, just put your names on record. I'm sure you have a team leader. The team leader will introduce himself and introduce his accompanying colleagues. Ogaya.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, sir, and thank you so much, honorable members. The team representing the Honorable Brigadier Gachagua, the Deputy President in these proceedings, is as follows. Honorable Paul Kibugi Muite, Senior Counsel, Mr. Victor Swanya Ogeto, my name is Elisha Ongoya, Mr. George Sakimpa, Mr. Ndegwa Njiru, Mr. George Wandati, Miss Faith Waigwa, Mr. Murigi Kamande, Mr. Amos Kisilu, Mr. Eric Kiprop Naibei, Miss Julia Omwamba, Mr. Tom Maina Masharia, Mr. Willis Echesa, and Mr. Andrew Moga. And that is all.
Thank you. And apart from the three of you, the rest are within the presence of Parliament?
Are within the presence of Parliament, except for Senior Counsel Paul Kibugi Mwite, who was sought to be excused from attending today, but is part of this team, and we are under his supervision and guidance.
Thank you. From here, we'll proceed as follows. David President, if you wish to leave, you are at liberty to do so with your team. Na mwengi Yes, Kaluma.
I thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, our prayer at the end says that we always be fair to those who are committed to our church. And Honorable Speaker, in his address to the House this afternoon, the Deputy President appears to have referred to some documents. I know we are moving towards the end of this particular session in considering this matter. And Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you for upholding Article 47 of the Constitution on the right to fairly and secure procedural fairness to every party as required by our Constitution. I wanted to ask Honorable Speaker that so that we consider what the Deputy President is saying in the documents, would I be in order to request the indulgence of the Speaker within the provisions of Standing Order number 1 to adjourn for at least 10 minutes so that we consider what the Deputy President's documents have and come back and make the decisions we need to make. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The request does not meet my favor. Where's Mutuse? Mutuse, you have 30 minutes to reply. Before I call the minority leader and the majority leader, will you exhaust your 30 minutes or you want to share out to anybody? I got an indication that you wanted to share 10 minutes to Kaluma. Pardon? I know. I am organizing the process. It's not going to be. I'm aware, Robert.
Mr. Speaker, I will share 10 minutes to senior learned friend Mr. Peter Kaluma, 5 minutes to Deputy Majority Leader, who was my seconder, and I will utilize the rest, which is 15 minutes.
Yes. Honorable Mutuse, only you has the right to a second bite to the motion. Your seconder has no right to a second bite. So if you have extra minutes, as I call the minority and majority leader, Kaluma will have 10 minutes if you want to donate to anybody else, but not Owen Bayer. Minority leader, now is your time. You have 15 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for according me this opportunity.
From the onset, Honorable Speaker, the minority supports the motion on removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Rigathi Gachagua because, Mr. Speaker, he is unfit to hold office in Kenya, and yesterday it was clear to all Kenyans to see for themselves the danger this country is in, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the impeachment of the Deputy President is not merely a procedural step. Rather, it's a reflection of our commitment to accountability and the rule of law in this country, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the integrity of government and the stability of our nation is at stake, Mr. Speaker, as we speak this afternoon, this evening, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, national security is at stake. Honorable Speaker, the economy is at stake. Honorable Speaker, the DP, since he assumed office, we have witnessed nothing but abuse of power, discrimination against communities, insubordination, disregard for the two levels of government, corruption, bullying, and many other actions that undermine the rule of law, Mr. Speaker, as well as actions that are unethical, illegal, and that severely breach public trust as contained in the motion by Honorable Wengi Mutuse, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in supporting the removal of the Deputy President from office, we are rejecting the invitation by Honorable Rigathi Gachagua to accept tribal bigotry, Mr. Speaker, skewed resource allocation, and the exploitation and domination of minorities as fait accompli in Kenya, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, before I move forward, or before I go on with what I wanted to say on the motion, Mr. Speaker, I would like to take this chance first to respond to some of the issues that he has raised in the House a few minutes ago, or his responses, Mr. Speaker. In the first place, his responses came very late in the day to the House, Mr. Speaker. He tabled his response at 4 p.m. in the evening today, Mr. Speaker, and he should have done it either yesterday evening or this morning, Mr. Speaker, so that the House can get enough time to police what he has said, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, one of the grounds that is being accused of Mr. Rigathi Gachagua for impeachment, Mr. Speaker, is the issue of